Hello, friends, and welcome into the TexAgs Rewind, presented by Specs, the four-time retailer of the year here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Today is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. 3 games into it, fourth coming up. McKinley Polanski, what was your favorite part of the program?
2 quick favorite parts. Jamie Morrison, I was excited to hear what he had to say about the successful weekend they had this past weekend, and I was excited to hear how he felt going into SEC play this week. And also Jamie McCoy, I agree with him. I want to
The two Jamies.
Yes, 2 Jamies. I want to see Texas A&M prove that they belong in the top 10 this weekend with a big win over Auburn.
All right, I like the way you think. Luke?
Well, it's funny you say that, McKinley, because neither of them are actually on the rewind.
Which
However,
is interesting. Hold on, Luke, because you just mentioned what was on the rewind right before. It totally, she just wasn't listening. But I agree with you. The two Jamies were fantastic.
But it is a good plug to go watch those full interviews on TexAgs.com. But to see this rewind in about 13 seconds or so, you're going to see Olin Buchanan, Charean Williams, Josh Pate, and Brandon Leone.
If you'll go back, not 100%, but typically when A&M beats Auburn, it's
good year.
It's a good year. You know, going back to 2012 and 2020, and even I think it was that 2016 year when they won up there. I'm trying to remember the scores, like 27-16. Looked really good, and that was the year they were number 4 until Trevor Knight got hurt. You know, and there's been some other years when they beat Auburn. That's kind of an indication that good things are coming.
But I do want them to stew on it, right? Like, if they kind of stewed on the Notre Dame loss, right? Like, they know that was a game that they got outplayed, especially in the fourth quarter, but they had their chance to win that game. It was tied, right? Tied in the fourth. I want this team that was bad last year beat us in triple overtime, and this cost us a chance at the SEC championship game? We're going to curb stomp them.
Yeah, you know, I hope they get out to a lead, which they did not do last year, and are able to play with that lead the entire game instead of getting down. What were they down? 17, 20?
21-0
last year, and fought back and took the lead, but then, you know, had a series of drops, whether it be a snap or a pass, and that cost them.
Paul Feinbaum says that he says, I think Texas A&M is a top 10 team, and this could, yes, they are, by the way, Paul, thank you. This could be a Waterloo moment for Auburn. You can't go on the road and lose both of these games because you still have Georgia in 3 weeks and Alabama after that. So this is going to be a desperate Auburn team because you project.
Much like Notre Dame was.
Yeah, you project forward, right? Like, all right, hey, of the most winnable, you know, that mindset, at least fans have that, like, this is the most winnable of these games. You got to have this one after losing that last one to Oklahoma.
I find it interesting that A&M is averaging 40-something points, and teams and media look at it and say, oh, this is the most winnable game. Really? Okay.
Okay, we're about to find out.
That's what I hope, that the message gets delivered to A&M team all week, is that, hey, everybody's talking about, you know, this is the most winnable. You went on the road and beat Notre Dame, which lost by 3 points on the road at at the number 3 ranked team in the country now.
Correct.
And nobody respects it.
I think as long as they stay healthy, they can do that against anybody. I really do. I just like what they're doing offensively. I think the play calling is very good. I would like to see us break some runs, some long runs. I don't know that we've had that. We haven't run as much as I expected us to run, and probably haven't run as well as I expected us to run. But I think that will come. And I think there's going to be games that in the fourth quarter you're going to have to grind it out, or you're going to have that. You saw Detroit yesterday. Grind it out at the end, try to put them away, and then you break the big one because you've worn them out the whole entire game with as much as you run the ball. And so I think that will come. But offensively, I just think with those receivers and the offensive line, the way it's playing, if you stay healthy, I think they can do that against anybody, including Texas, who has a very good defense, as we all know.
Charean, when you look at this matchup this weekend, I feel like it could be a differentiator weekend in the fact that, look, if you win, it doesn't guarantee anything, but it just proves that you are that team that when you play with a top 10 ranking and people come to Kyle Field, you know what to do. And also for Auburn, you could maybe just make their season a disaster, having them lose 2 in a row if you can win. And then they obviously have Georgia and Alabama left.
Well, and that's what they did to Notre Dame. They went out, took it to Notre Dame, 2 consecutive losses to start the season, and basically their season is pretty much over. I mean, they're going to try to make a run here and win the rest of them, but it's awfully hard to do. And, there's no room for error when you lose 2 and you lose too early. So A&M can do the same thing to Auburn this week. I hope they do. But it is, I talked on Friday about, people saying that was a program changing. It's only a program changing win if you build on it. So you can't go out and lose to Auburn and then look back and say, well, Notre Dame was. You have to keep winning. And if you keep winning at the end of the season, yeah, I think you go back and you look at that as program changing. But that Notre Dame win doesn't mean nearly as much if you go out and lose to Auburn. This is the biggest game of the season because it's the next game, as coaches like to say, and you absolutely have to win your SEC opener at home.
You got to be very careful just in college football in general. Auburn happens to be one of these teams. A&M's kind of one of the teams I'm about to describe. You got to be careful pigeonholing teams or defining teams, I guess, first quarter to third of the season, because a lot of them get in what I call ascension mode, and that's where you just hit a different gear. You start improving as a team. Everyone wants to get in that mode. That's the whole goal. So I think Auburn has that potential. I think they may even be doing that a little bit, but for the Oklahoma game, it was pretty obvious to me there was not going to be much of a rhythmic nature to their offense. They weren't going to put together a bunch of 12-play drives. What they were going to have to do is throw the ball up, let big wide receivers win fights on the outside. They were going to have to manufacture a ground game, which they didn't really develop the ability to do all afternoon. Brent Venables was not going to let them win with QB run, which they did against Baylor. And so it was really up to them to find points. And they were there. I mean, as you saw, as you pointed out, they were there. And then the officiating becomes the story. I think the real story is they lost a game they could have won, which happens all the time, but now it puts them in really close to a must-win mode here. If they lose in College Station Saturday, they're 0-2 in conference, just right off the bat. And I think about the desperation mode they're in. I think about a back-to-back road spot. I think about coming in there and playing a rested Texas A&M, and it was always a talking point for me during the spring and summer about schedule. Auburn at Oklahoma was such a hinge game because if they won it, they're off to the races. If they lost it, it was going to put them in desperation mode in a really bad scheduling dynamic spot the very next week, and that's where they are. And so here we go, my friend. Here we go.
Because of the Notre Dame game, it feels different. Now, they got to prove to me it is different from here on out. But am I right? Does it feel different so far?
I think so, because I think what you saw in the Notre Dame game was, I think you mentioned this a lot the week after, but just exercising the demons of not winning a meaningful game on the road in a decade. And, you and I were both there. There was just so many things that didn't go our way. And I think the fact that we finished strong despite not even playing near our best football showed the toughness of this team, the culture that Elko is building, and their fight. Just those guys battled it out. I mean, you overcome a block punt for a touchdown and a turnover, and you give up 10 free points. You basically spot them that. You had so many procedure penalties. There's all these things that kind of stirred up the battered Aggie syndrome. But I'll tell you, man, I went to hear Elko speak last week at that Houston Touchdown Club in Houston, and, I saw Luke and OB. And Elko said something, man, that I love, and it resonated with me because I'm guilty of it, like a lot of us, of just, oh, here we go again, the Eeyore, here goes A&M choking away an opportunity. Man, we need to be excited about this football team, right? Like that was something that makes us feel different because despite playing bad, they overcame it and they won. They did what was necessary to win a top 10 game on the road. And then you stroll into the bye week with a lot of confidence. The national narrative, I don't want to say it's completely changed because we've done this a lot in the past, but the news and the commentary on A&M in the last 7 to 10 days has been more positive than it's been in a really long time. And so you can't help but be excited for these guys and for that program. And I know I'm personally excited about it for sure.
Let's close it out. Popo, please.
Popo, please. Like,
why do you laugh at bad jokes? You don't laugh at the good ones. You laugh at the bad ones.
It was funny.
Popo.
All right. Popo says, please, like,
this sounds like a grandpa, doesn't it? Like, beyond a cop, Like Popo sounds like it would be like, what do you call your grandpa? Popo, right? Like
No.
I'm just saying it could
But
be.
yeah, it could be.
It
Yeah,
could be. Not
a
your
name,
grandpa,
I
but
guess.
like
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it could be a name.
This got really awkward. Go ahead and finish.
Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, family, everyone. Yay.
Yay. See you next time.